What's up, Call of Duty fans, CWL crazies, all of you fanatics out there? I'm IHOLDSHIFT. This is the CWL recap, and day one just completed with the play-in bracket for CWL Las Vegas. And if you missed it, we'll just give you a quick recap of what you missed and what you might want to go back and watch, okay? So as you took a look at what happened, of course, this is the play-in bracket consisting of the 13th through 20th seeds based on pro points and other placements from last year. The teams that are fighting to try to get into those pool plays without having to go through the long juggernaut gauntlet of getting through the open bracket. The top 4 teams would make it into the pool play. The bottom 4 teams will be relegated down, well, not relegated, but they'll be moved down to the open bracket, and they will hold the top 4 seeds going through, okay? So let's just dig in and take a look at what happened today. We had a lot of expectations for a number of these teams, starting with the matchup of Pittsburgh Knights versus Team Divine. And again, Pittsburgh Knights, after their performance during the CMG Pro Down Showdown, we expected them to do very, very well in this matchup. Then you look at the second match, that was Tainted Minds versus Gone Gaming. If you missed our prediction show from yesterday, we anticipated that this would be a pretty easy game for Tainted Minds. And then we had a very interesting set, as Imperial would take on UYU. I guess that's what we're calling them. I personally don't know if they're UU or UYU. We'll just go with UYU. Let's keep the nomenclature universal. This was an interesting one because UYU, they have never placed, outside of one time they finished in the top 4, they typically finish in the 5 through 8 spot when it comes to the 2Ks. Imperial had looked really solid in the last couple of weeks in their 2K performances. This is one we kept our eyes on. And then the bottom bracket, the bottom side of the bracket rather, was Mindfree taking on Straight Ribbon. And well, here are the results as they speak. A very good game, first and foremost, between the Pittsburgh Knights and Team Divine. And that's definitely one to go back and look at. Although, to be fair, I don't know if it was really Team Divine looking good as much as it was Pittsburgh Knights kind of throwing away a couple of points. This one went to 5 after being, I think it was up a 2-0 in favor of Pittsburgh Knights, if I remember back correctly. And Team Parasite Squad looked pretty solid all the way through. Then they would throw away a couple, and then they would win it finally on the Search and Destroy. It was a really good set. Definitely one to go back and watch as far as the resiliency Team Divine had. A lot of expectations, I think, for this European squad to possibly put up, you know, some results, and not able to quite get past Pittsburgh Knights. You take a look at the second matchup, Tainted Minds Gone Gaming 3-0. Don't bother with it. It was an easy one. And then interestingly enough, the Imperial versus UYU game, that was a really solid set, mostly as you take a look at the combination. Specifically, I look at Proto, Skies, and Spoof from UYU. They looked incredible all day today. Imperial would put up a really solid fight as well, but they just could not quite make it go all the way through. I think it went to round 11 if I'm not mistaken. And then the bottom side of the bracket, you have Mind Freak and Straight Rippin'. Expectations, at least personally for me, I was hoping this would be a good set. It ended up being pretty convincing for Straight Rippin'. They ended up getting a couple of spawn kill situations going on frequency. It was just a pretty easy roll for Straight Rippin'. They looked really solid going through, looking like the favorites that we all thought that they would be on that bottom half of the bracket, of which would send, of course, those other 4 players into the losers bracket as well. So we go to round number 2. Pittsburgh Knights taking on Tainted Minds, UYU taking up Straight Rippin'. The Pittsburgh Knights and Tainted Minds game, that was the Pittsburgh Knights that we expected to see. They win it rather easily 3-1. And then the very interesting thing, again, UYU, shocking and surprising a lot of people, they would take this one all the way to round 5. Pardon me, they would take this one all the way to game 5, round 11 on Straight Rippin', who honestly, it shouldn't have been as close as it was. But again, this is a Straight Rippin' team that we mentioned yesterday that looked a little vulnerable after their performance from the last 2K, not even making it into the semifinals. So maybe some of those issues are reoccurring here, but UYU, again, looked really, really solid. They would fall 3-2, so your qualifiers, as you see them into the pools from the winners bracket side of things, giving them a more favorable pool, quote unquote, as far as how their placements would work, are Pittsburgh Knights and Straight Rippin'. And then you look down to what the losers bracket had to say, and you start off with Divine versus Gone Gaming and Imperial versus Mind Freak. Divine versus Gone, this is one that we see very often in the 2Ks. We've seen them play up before. Divine would win this one easily 3-0. But then interestingly enough, again, I had high expectations for this Imperial team. A lot of these players have been sitting kind of in the middle of the pack for a while, and I thought they were going to have a chance to really explode here. They would actually get taken down very quickly by Mind Freak, and this was the game that, you know, I saw Mind Freak play, and I'm sitting here saying, you know what, this team are showing some signs of brilliance. This is definitely a major contender as you look to go forward. So you move forward, UIU dropping out of the winner's bracket would play up against Team Divine. Tainted Minds would have themselves a rematch from the last APAC, actually the last 4 APAC 2Ks, where they would have another rematch up against Mind Freak, not getting the best of the last one in the 2K. They would look for some vengeance in a local environment here. UIU would actually, again, show up and show off against Team Divine. Proto is absolutely popping with Skies and Spoof specifically. Nova and Mayhem are playing well, don't get me wrong, but these 3 dudes have had some incredible moments. Even in losses, Proto has looked insane. So definitely a team to keep an eye on. They win this one out 3-1 and move on to the finals. And then as you see it, Mind Freak and Tainted Minds. This one, again, would be an easy 3-0 for Mind Freak, looking super solid. And a lot of people are asking the question, who is this Loka guy? As he was kind of a new addition to the team. Him and Shocks have looked absolutely insane for Mind Freak. And the implications for this squad moving forward, well, they're holding the reins and the laurels of the APAC region right now, as Tainted Minds did not look nearly as good as I think we were hoping they would after, of course, their most recent performances in the 2K. So you take a look over at what the new pools look like and where they go. We'll start down on the bottom right. The Pittsburgh Knights will jump into Pool D, and that's got to feel pretty good for them because they definitely have an opportunity to beat G2 and Splice, if not go back and do some work against Optic. If you look back to what happened at the CMG Pro Down Showdown, Pittsburgh already beat both Splice and G2 super convincingly. It was a 3-0 versus Splice, a 3-1 versus G2 in the losers bracket before they would eventually fall 2-3 to Red Reserve. So if you're Pittsburgh Knights, I think you feel pretty good about your chances to get through this bracket, this pool rather. Obviously the biggest dog in that is going to be Optic Gaming, which if they could take a couple of maps off of, that would be a great boost to confidence. But having the laurel that you've already beaten Splice and G2, that's got to feel good going into Pool D. Then you go over to Pool C, and who's going to be meeting up in what is a very controversial pool. You're going to look at Straight Rippin'. We'll be joining in with Lightning Pandas, Team Envy, and FaZe Clan. And again, I think this just elevates the competition of Pool C even further. They're all very evenly matched teams, I think, especially FaZe and Envy. Lightning Pandas are still kind of a question mark. I still think they could play spoiler in this pool. But now you look at Straight Rippin'. And my biggest thing is this a pool that Straight Rippin' can move through? The answer is not no, but the answer also isn't yes at the moment, at least not convincingly, simply because there have been a lot of questions as far as how good is this team lately, especially having the kind of weird matchups today where they didn't look nearly as solid against UIU kind of keeps a little bit of a hindrance in my eyes when it comes down to, can you really trust this team to move as far as you'd like to see them? I think this is a group that they can beat every team in this group, but it comes down to, will they actually perform at their highest level? Pool B, which I would consider to be the weakest pool out of the CWL Vegas pools. You've got Luminosity, Red Reserve, Evil Geniuses, and now how about this? UYU put themselves in a spot where they honestly, based on what I saw today, they could beat every team in this pool. Red Reserve, I think, even more definitively becomes a team that should run away with this. But as you look at UYU, they should beat Evil Geniuses. They could beat and might be able to beat Luminosity. It just comes down to what Luminosity will show up at LAN. Of course, they can be Lanimals. They're monsters when it comes to playing at these events. But UYU has looked like they're up to the task, so I'm excited to see it. And then finally, Pool A, Mind Freak will be joining in with 100 Thieves, E United, and then Reciprocity. Dens from the Australian region will have a chance to play up against some of his former comrades from the Aussie land. I don't know what that attempted accent was. I didn't really even fully commit to it. Let's just not even bother. But you take a look at what Mind Freak can do, and I have this pool is, again, this solidifies that this is the pool of death. 100%. I think after seeing the way Mind Freak played today and how Reciprocity played at the CMG and 100 Thieves being 100 Thieves and E United being E United, a lot of people are saying that between those two teams, that is the number 2 and the number 3 team. And some people are even saying Reciprocity could be the number 5 team or 4 team here. So, I mean, you take a look at that in itself, and then you add Mind Freak, who just showed up and played very, very well throughout their bracket life, with the exception, obviously, of losing the 3-0, the Straight Rippin' early. I don't think that Mind Freak make it through. I don't think they will get them into a top 2 spot out of this pool. It's just too hard of a pool, but this is a proving point, I think, for Mind Freak. I think you're still riding on your pro points throughout a lot of the future events that are going to be happening for Mind Freak, but this is a really solid test for you. And I think you take this as an opportunity to not only showcase what you have to offer, especially as a new player with Luka being there, but as well, you are able to take this as a way as kind of an educational thing where you can go back, you can look at this film, you can really break it down at the highest level. I think out of all the other teams, they're in a spot to really grow the most if they don't perform where they want to. I think they could definitely be that team that has that catalyst there because they're in a very highly fueled competitive pool. So we'll see what happens as we go into tomorrow. Again, the open bracket will also be starting. You can check it. I think it's gonna be 5 different streams. You've got the main, you've got Bravo, Charlie, you've got Delta, and then you've also got the open. So yeah, there's 5 streams going on tomorrow. I'm gonna be trying to catch as many games as possible, bring another recap to you, but that's all I got for you guys today. Hope you enjoyed the recap. And again, you should go back, definitely watch, if you're gonna wanna watch 2 games, Straight versus UIU for sure. And then past that, I would say Pitt and Team Divine. Everything else was pretty straightforward, but those 2 games specifically were really good. Even the Imperial UIU game was pretty solid, but if you were to pick 2, go back, watch Pittsburgh Knights, Team Divine, and then watch UIU and Straight Rippin'. Very entertaining games. That's it. That's all I got for you. That's all I got. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll catch you guys tomorrow for another breakdown and a recap. I've been Shift. You've been you. This has been the recap. Until next time, hope that you keep holding it down.